Welcome back to Gridiron and Growth, the podcast that brings you inside the minds of sports and business champions, taking you to the forefront. It's your boy, Ryan Harris, champion Super Bowl 50, alongside my Super Bowl champion teammate from the state of Michigan, Benny Fowler.
My guy.
I was going to say something about Sparty, but I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm sorry.
Why not?
I gotta tell you, don't you do that to our listeners. We value our listeners, so we reward their time.
Go green, go
green. We just had the Super Bowl, Benny Fowler. This is the post-Super Bowl show. Yes. Benny Fowler, Super Bowl champion. What did you see when the Kansas City Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers for Super Bowl 58?
I saw a lot of different things, and for our listeners out there, we're going to be breaking this down from a football perspective, but more so from a leadership perspective. I think the players who play in the Super Bowl, or the players who play at the highest level in any professional sports, are incredibly talented. But football is such a team game, and a lot of it comes down to leadership or lack thereof. So shout out to both teams for making it there. But Kansas City, we both picked Kansas City to win, most importantly because of number 15 and his incredible play and who he is as a leader to that team. But then also Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid did an incredible job. And one of there are a couple of main points that I think really separated the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl that people can apply to their business lives. Number one, clear vision in terms of what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to accomplish. Number two, knowing your roles on the team. And then number three, operating from a place of strength, having the coaches operate from a place of strength, and then the players operate from a place of strength. When we look at the vision for the Kansas City Chiefs, incredible in terms of everybody wants to achieve the Super Bowl, but I think they break their goals down in terms of division and, hey, how are we going to accomplish this and achieve this with the roster that we have? Knowing your roles. Spagnuolo, no ego, the defensive coordinator. What an incredible job and a masterful job by him in terms of the defensive game plan he put together. And then think about all the people who touched that ball in that game, from Travis Kelce to Pacheco.
Cole Hardman, who wasn't even on the team earlier in the year.
Exactly, and he ends up scoring the game-winning touchdown. When you think about that, knowing the roles, and then helping your players operate from a place of strength. I think we saw Kansas City in the first quarter, first half, maybe first quarter and a half, really get off to, we're going to try to throw quick screens, and that game plan wasn't working. And they were able to adapt and adjust to what was going to work best and help Patrick Mahomes and the defense operate from a place of strength. So that's what I saw in terms of the winning side. My good friend, tell me where you saw. Wait. Okay.
I'm going back. I want to double click because there's a lot you said there. The clear vision I want to double click on, because I got the sense, even at halftime, that the Chiefs knew what they were doing. They were prepared. Like they had a clear-eyed vision that they were going to get to the Super Bowl, make adjustments at halftime that were going to be the difference. Like they were just so that final drive of the second quarter looked like that, where they got 3 points. I'm just like, man. And I was on the studio call for the in-game and post-game show.
Shout out to you.
I said on air, man, I could pull up the tape. You know us. Pull up the tape. Let's see the tape. I said, look, I'm taking at halftime. I said, I'm taking the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes as the MVP. This is where they want him, because San Francisco gave their best shot. After that opening fumble, they had too many penalties, 3 on one drive. Insane. That can't happen. They're not ready to play. And then you got the Juwan Jennings throw for a McCaffrey touchdown. I know that looks great to fans. And to me, I said, they just pulled one of their best plays out of the hat to score. Like they had to do that trick play to score. That's a problem come the third and fourth quarter. So did you see the same way, that they had a clear vision of not only being in the game, but what was going to transpire over the course of the game?
Yeah, I think they had a really clear vision in terms of how they wanted to attack San Francisco. Another good leadership lesson is the ability to adapt and adjust. They had a clear vision in the game plan that they actually wanted to achieve against San Francisco. And they quickly realized, this isn't going to work. Yeah. And then they adapted and adjusted from going for the quick screens to, hey, we're going to throw these hitches, quick outs, and hey, we're going to take what the defense gives us. Let's adapt and adjust in real time. And I think Andy Reid he just does a masterful job. I think people need to start paying attention to how Andy Reid was leading. And everybody's going to talk about the Travis Kelce moment. That's a heat of the moment. But, hey, I know you've had some moments like that. Can you bring up some moments that you've had on the sidelines? Where
No, here's all I got to say about that. I said, that's that game, isn't it, though, Benny? Like that.
It is.
I didn't know that in the game. And we had a wide receiver screen in our Super Bowl, and I remember Emmanuel was pissed. He's like, you didn't throw. I'm like, hey, I threw on them cats. That guy backed up 10 yards. We got like 13 yards or something like that on the play. Anyways, the way Emmanuel and the coach came over, it's like that at that game, it's not even your livelihood's on the line. The opportunity to win is too important. It's too important to worry about feelings. That's the truth. I mean, and I hope everybody here listening gets to a place at some point where it's so important to get what needs to be done that you don't care about anybody's feelings. And that's what it looks like. Travis Kelce didn't care what Andy Reid was thinking in that moment. By the way, I almost gave him a heart attack. You see that? When Andy Reid, when Travis Kelce grabbed Andy Reid first, he almost gave him a heart attack. Okay, everybody's going to skip over that fact. But that's that game. That's that emotion, man, and that's a big thing. But I do want to point out.
Wait, before you go there, I want to point out to listeners in the audience as well. Regardless of if Kansas City had won that game or not, it might have been a big deal to the media. But Andy Reid and Travis Kelce were still going to have a conversation after that game in terms of like, hey, man, I'm super passionate about trying to win the game, lose, or draw. Like, I want to be in the game and I want to make an impact on the game. 1 yard in the first half, 92 yards in the second half. Travis Kelce, he's just one of those people where he wants to win and he's super passionate. I have a great friend in you who plays like that. One of my best friends, Draymond, plays like that. And these are just the most competitive people. So like Michael Jordan said in The Last Dance, if you don't understand that, it's because you've never won anything.
Yeah. Yes. And look, like you hope to be in that area, right? I mean, you hope to be in an area. And I always felt like, hey, as a coach in the game, like during the week, absolutely. You're my coach, I'm the player. And in the game, we're equal here. And I can mess things up and so can you. And since you're going to tell me when I'm messing up, you better believe that I'm going to tell you when you're messing up. And that's what Travis might have been telling Andy Reid. Stop running these plays. We know what to do, right? We know what to do. But this is what people are missing about Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. They played that game like a prize fight. It's 12 rounds. You have to go the distance. And San Francisco wasn't ready to go there. And to your point, Benny, the Kansas City Chiefs were flexible to be successful. Their game plan at first didn't work. So do we pack our bags and go home? No. We wait because we want to give them the idea that they're winning. And oh, by the way, you got McCole Hardman into the game before he ended up making the game-winning touchdown catch. Probably a good thing to do, right? You got some other guys like Watson and Pacheco. And that's what I love, to your point of just the management style in Andy Reid. He understands you have to make your Joes, as we call them in the NFL, the average guys, pros. They don't have to be excellent. They don't got to be stars, but they got to be pros. And what did you see from the Kansas City Chiefs? The entire season, they developed Rashee Rice. They made sure that Watson and Pacheco got better. Pacheco increased his carry percentage about from 59 to 77% into the playoffs. So he gained the trust of Andy Reid. But they built that long track record and that track into the Super Bowl, which is week 28? But that's what I loved as well when I looked at the leadership. What else did you love about the Kansas City Chiefs?
The ability to finish. And I think you see this in the business world. I think you see it in life, is the ability to finish. And they finished at the end of the game to tie the game up. And then in overtime, they finished. And to me, that comes down to your mindset and your belief. Do you believe in the plays that are being called? Do you believe in the people that are on the field? Do you believe in your teammates in the corporate world? Do you believe in your co-founder? Do you believe in your spouse? Do you believe in your friends? I think Kansas City, they believed that they could win. You could see by the way that they were playing throughout the entire game. Oh, we can win this. We can win this. We're not desperate. We can win this. And that's how they operated. So I saw a lot of belief and mindset. And I saw a lot of, I always have this belief in terms of championship teams. You have to go through like turmoil throughout the season to actually win the final game. If you haven't been through a lot of turmoil in terms of internally, externally, then when the tough moments get there, you won't know how to react if you haven't been in different situations with injuries or different players or scrutiny. I mean, even from our Super Bowl team, I mean, there was a lot of turmoil internally in that building, with Peyton going down with an injury, Brock having to step up, defense being mad at the offense for not scoring, offense bickering back and forth. But we had to fight through all those things and still continue to win games and then get the number one seed and then eventually go on to win the Super Bowl. But that's what I saw from Kansas City. What else did you see from a leadership lens and perspective that applies to real life?
The best are the difference. And I think that we fool ourselves sometimes in thinking collectively, if we can get together and, the sum is greater than the parts. No, the parts matter. The parts matter. And the best part in the NFL right now is Patrick Mahomes. Don't get it twisted. He cannot be stopped. The fact that, think about this. His final drive in which he won the Super Bowl, he went 8 for 8. 8 for 8 throwing the football. And then ran for 27 yards in addition. One of them on a 4th and 1, the quickest decision to keep it that we've seen all year from a quarterback. And what is that? A perfect play. Go to the weak side because pressure's always coming to the strength. If that linebacker, you and I knew as soon as that play started, we were like, if that linebacker steps off the Kelsey, one step, the ball's going to him. If it doesn't, he's running. And literally the first step, the linebacker turned to Kelsey, he pulled the ball down and ran. Like, the operating speed that he was moving in key moments, that's what we want to see, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest. And I get it. He's got 4 more to win until he gets to Brady. I get it. And it might take 5 years, okay? It might take 15, but it might take 5 years for him to do it. So I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear anything about it. No one has done it the way Mahomes has. And ask me, Benny Fowler, you played receiver. Did any quarterback do more with less receivers this year than Patrick Mahomes?
No. But I think Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
But if you think about Patrick Mahomes with like a T. Higgins, right? A Marquise Brown even. Patrick Mahomes doesn't even have a top 50 wide receiver. Yeah, he's got Travis Kelce. I'm not going to discount that. And there's still 3 other positions that you have to have. They don't have dudes in those positions. Look out, man. Look out.
I don't want to get off topic, but I do want to say and address this point is that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to win 7 Super Bowls to be better than Tom Brady. He's already better than him as a player.
Ooh, I don't know. But go ahead, expound.
I think they talked about it in Brady's first Super Bowl. He accounted for 1 touchdown. They were scoring on like special teams and defense and things like that. Patrick Mahomes' first season, he accounted for 50. He threw 50 touchdowns. There's no comparison in terms of the type of player and talent. Now, if we want to talk about like the overall career
body of work,
Patrick Mahomes, we have to talk about that, then fine. Like, but who's a better football player? It's not even close. Better football player, okay? Not better quarterback. Who's a better quarterback? Patrick Mahomes is. Even if Patrick Mahomes, who says that Patrick Mahomes has to play 25 years? Like, who says he wants to do that?
He might not.
If Patrick Mahomes wins 5 Super Bowls in his 15 years of playing, that'll be the best winning percentage. So I do want to say that and just double click on that because they showed the playoff stats in their first 6 playoffs first 6 postseasons. He's thrown for 2,000 more yards, 21 more touchdowns.
That's a lot.
And 1 less interception. And then in their first 6 years of starting, he's thrown 89 more touchdowns and 8,000 more yards. So there's no comparison there.
It's a fair statement, though, to say he has to win 7. I get that, right? And Tom Brady's thinking, please don't, because that's the only thing that's keeping me in this conversation, right? I mean, how quick did we 100%. Stop talking about Joe Montana after Tom Brady won 7, right? But I'm with you as a
Bill Russell won 11. Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Great way to put it. Now, Benny Fowler, I've been waiting for this one. What did you see in terms of leadership when it came to the 49ers in the Super Bowl game?
I'm really disappointed in terms of Kyle Shanahan, in terms of, I thought it was a great game plan. I think stick to the game plan. That's it. It's that simple. You do what got you there. Give the ball to number 23 and continue to give him the ball until he can't run the ball anymore. He had 160 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. I would just keep giving it to him. Just like Andy Reid finds a way to get it to number 4 and number 87, get the ball to number 23 until he can't do it anymore. I think San Francisco got off to a great start running the ball. They found out what works. I don't know why they would go away from what works. It doesn't make sense to me. They had a lot of great plays, open plays that they missed because of pressure. And to me, that comes down to communication. So I think from a leadership perspective and how it compares into the corporate world, who are your best people? What do you do really well? What's the one product? I had a good friend of mine who talked to me about Clorox bleach. Clorox has made one product for 40 years, just one. and they did it really well. Kyle Shanahan, you want to run the ball, and that's what you do really well. Why would you not continue to do that? When you are working in the corporate world and you have one thing that is selling, one widget that is selling, and that's the top of the game, continue to sell that. When my dad was working at Jaguar and Range Rover, they were making, 50 to 60 different colors. When he was the COO of Jaguar Range Rover, they were making 60 different colors of Range Rovers. Only 6 of them were selling. How about we just make those 6 and we make up the price for the other ones if people want a special one? We're not just going to keep making light blue Range Rovers if they're not selling. If running the ball is working, let's continue to run the ball. Kyle Shanahan, get out of your own way, man. Who on that sideline is telling him, hey, get your head out of your ass? What did you see?
Need you Ryan Harris on that sideline, huh?
Yeah. Exactly.
It was devastating to watch the 49ers lose. And Kyle Shanahan made, in that loss to the Chiefs, Kyle Shanahan made the number one mistake that leaders make in business. You fail to prepare for yourself. Look, part of being an athlete is you have to have victory over yourself. You think athletes want to wake up all the time at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning and get a workout in? You think we want to make no excuses? We got the excuses, but we're just not going to say them. You have to have victory over yourself. And in all the game planning that Kyle Shanahan did, he forgot to game plan against himself. Because the book on Kyle Shanahan, we saw it this year against the Ravens. When he has a lead, he starts throwing the football. And what happens in the third quarter? He gets a football after an interception and throws the ball 6 straight times. If you ran the ball 3 of those times, you would eclipse 2 minutes of actual game time. And oh, by the way, the Chiefs were down 3 points with 1:52 to go. Like, this is what I'm talking about. He didn't plan for himself. And one of my favorite things about our Super Bowl 50 season is I game plan for myself in games as well. How am I going to think if this happens? If a mistake happens, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to technique, and I'm going to focus on the technique of the next play. You have to prepare for yourself in these moments. And Kyle Shanahan didn't do that. Does that make sense to you in terms of like how I'm seeing it? Like, man, he just missed the boat.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think he's continued to miss the boat. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how Kyle Shanahan gets some help now. And not help as in terms of therapy or anything like that, but help in terms of who's going to be accountable for you and push you to have victory over yourself. This has happened 3 times on the biggest stage. And you were winning.
10-point lead 3 times. 10-point lead 3 times. Hello, there's a problem, you know?
Yeah.
In each of those 3 times, it was he failed to run the ball. It's crazy, too, because his dad, Mike Shanahan, I know from interviewing Mike, he lost a few Super Bowls, too. And I said, hey, what was the difference as an offensive coordinator for the Broncos when you went to the 49ers and won those Super Bowls and came back? And he said, I realized how much more running the football has to be a part of the identity. And so even his dad had to go through this. So I think that the good thing is this makes the Super Bowl, if they're able to win one, I mean, when that happens, I mean, he might be, ripping off his clothes. I mean, you might see an Ovechkin-style celebration. You know what I'm saying? But
absolutely,
the next step, go into your accountability, Kyle Shanahan has to be accountable to himself in big game moments. And when he does that, they will win a Super Bowl.
1,000%. I'll also say that you have to go through it. This was told to me by Jamal Crawford. I'll never forget this saying in terms of
NBA basketball player, for those who may not know.
Yeah, for those who don't know, played 19 years in the NBA. Incredible person. I went to a Nuggets game, and I think he was playing with the Clippers at the time. Good mentor of mine introduced me to Jamal, and we were just talking about sports back and forth. And I was just like, how have you gotten to this level? And, if you had any piece of advice, what would you give, or what would you say to me? And he said, you have to go through it to get to it. You have to go through it to get to it. And Kyle Shanahan, you have to continue to keep going through these moments to get to it. You still haven't learned your lesson in terms of running the football and operating from a place of strength, but you'll get to that point, going through these tough moments and tough times and situations. Hopefully you continue to learn from them.
It's so tough because you can see the talent. And look, missing Dre Greenlaw, number one, brutal, just devastating. Brutal. Number two, don't be that excited to get on the field. He was running out for a TV timeout, bro. I mean, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So
he's ready to
that was tough. And they had some other injuries as well. And you have to look at yourself. One of the things I loved about Mike Tomlin at the Pittsburgh Steelers is he always said, never minimize your role in a success or failure. And for Kyle Shanahan, you have to not minimize your role. What did you do? You had a lead again. And again, you wanted to go to the passing game. Against Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. Karlaftis had 10.5 sacks in the regular season. 10.5. Like, Chris Jones? Come on. You want to test that when you have a lead? Like, why? Why are we doing unnecessary things that don't help us win? Oh, you said it. Talk to him about it.
Ego will lose you these games.
Yes.
Ego will lose you a lot. Ego will lose you a lot in life. And I think ego has lost Kyle Shanahan these games right here. People wanting to prove that they are this type of coordinator, or that, hey, I called these type of plays and this is how we won. I mean, we saw it with Pete Carroll and them losing to the Patriots. Run the ball with Marshawn Lynch. I mean, on the 1 yard line, no one can tackle this guy, but you wanted to get Russell Wilson the MVP, and you wanted to, hey, let's try to give him the MVP, and that'll lose you the game. That ego is the enemy, and ego will get you into a lot of trouble.
And ego gives into fear, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
Like, the fear of losing the game made Kyle Shanahan say, no, I got the perfect play. And yeah, they had a couple completions, and you gave the time back to the Chiefs that they used to win the game.
Hey.
You have to understand the pieces. Ego always gives in to fear. And what his ego did is it made him think that on paper it was going to be better than what's actually happening on the ground. Yep. Because I don't care if you go 3 straight runs and you pump the ball. Guess what you did? You took 2.5 minutes off the clock. Like, good. With a 10-point lead, yeah, you want to score, but you don't want to give time. So I love that you brought up ego, because to me, ego gives way to fear. And what Kyle Shanahan did with fear is went to his smart pass plays. They may be very smart. We'll never know, right? Because in the moments, and then the penalties. The penalties. I mean, talk about what did you think when you saw all those penalties by the 49ers?
So me, when I see penalties, I see lack of discipline. And what did you do to prepare? I think when I think back to the Super Bowl and how prepared we were, it's because we had people who had been there before. Mm-hmm. They talked to us about the game. They talked to us about the week before. They talked to us about the emotion and how to handle all of these different things. I'd be curious to know Kyle Shanahan's preparation in terms of getting the team ready. Kyle has been there as a head coach. Some of those players on that team have been there. What was the communication like the week of, or the couple weeks before? Because even going into overtime, some of the players talked about we didn't know the rules and we hadn't practiced that situation or why they would even take the ball. So when I see the penalties that comes from communication. That comes from leadership. And that comes from, was it communication clear? And did people understand that? Did you, Kyle, ask people in terms of, hey, do you understand what needs to be done here? Do you understand the importance of this? And did you practice those things? I think Sean Payton, one of the best coaches I played for, and Kubiak was really like this. Asking for confirmation. Hey, I'm telling you something. Are you receiving it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. I need
you understand what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah.
Nod your head like you're sitting in the exit row and they say, hey, are you able and willing to assist? And they make you verbally nod. Hey, Kyle Shanahan, were your players ready? Did you get verbal communication or confirmation from them?
What you're also saying is it's too late to do it then in the game.
Yo, yeah, you're done. Like, it's too much emotion.
And the ability to say in the first quarter, this third down is going to dictate whether we win or lose. That's there, right? You're thinking like it's there, but you can't live there. No, this is this third down. That's the rest of the game's going to take care of itself. And they were looking for too much ahead. I also think the whole thing about, and for those who don't know, the 49ers said, a lot of the players said they didn't know the rules had changed in overtime. It really didn't matter because it went alongside the old rules. So that was such a cop-out at the end of like, well, we didn't know doesn't matter. You had the ball. You didn't score a touchdown because of an offensive line breakdown, which I'm an offensive lineman. The 49ers struggled mightily on that offensive line all night long. But you had the chance to score a touchdown. Doesn't matter. In the defense, even after your offense kicked the field goal, knew you had to defend. Couldn't get it done. Couldn't stop a 4th and 2. Couldn't stop a 3rd and 6, right? I mean, these are what the Chiefs converted on that drive. So regardless of the rules, they just weren't willing to succeed, and they weren't willing to pay attention. And I think coaches miss one of the big things that Peyton Manning did to make us successful with the Omaha is you got to make it so that there's no play. I've been in offenses where you're like, all right, it's on 2, and everybody's going, on 2. But then what happens is, you get to the line, the tight end says, is it a Ringo or a star? You're like, star. Oh, gosh, it's on 2. I said, hot. Oh, dang, I moved, But Peyton would say, hey, ice cream flavor or turtle, we're not making. Hey, chocolate. All right, now we're getting down. It's going to be a star, chocolate. Oh, we'll go. Okay, launch. All right, now we're rocking with star. So Peyton was brilliant in making sure there was no play. And I think that's the evolution that people miss and how great he was as a quarterback. Yes, he made all the throws and checks, but you'll never see it again. He understood what everyone else he was playing with was going through, and he made it simple for us. Yeah. As a leader, can you make things simple for your employees? Because that's what creates speed in performance. Simplicity creates speed in performance. And if you don't make it simple, you're going to have problems. And the 49ers got too complex.
Yep. Keep it simple, smart. 49ers was my last team, and I pick up offenses super fast. I've done it. Playing in Peyton's offense is the most complex offense I played in, but it all made sense. When I played for the 49ers, I was looking at the plays, trying to piece them together in my mind. I was like, these concepts and these names don't make any sense. And I think that's why, at the end of the game, 4th quarter, you're tired. Who knows why protection is breaking down? How does Chris Jones go unblocked?
Unblocked, bro. And that's also on the tackle. I'm like, hey, if I don't have confirmation from my guard, to your point, if I don't have confirmation that he's blocking Chris Jones, and at this point, I don't care if Chris Jones knows it either, right? I don't care if Chris Jones knows that I'm blocking him or the guy next to me is blocking him. We're going to make sure someone's blocking him. So that's on that right tackle, too. Hey, you better talk to your man. Talk to the man. I used to get down there like Jay-Z. Talk to me, man. Like, hey, what are we seeing over there? And so the communication, what you saw in the 49ers was a leadership breakdown, a communication breakdown, which led to the execution breakdown. And Absolutely. These are 3 – the first 2 are preventable. It's a preventable – if you're willing to be accountable, those things are preventable.
1,000%. So shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think now, as the NFL season is over, now we go into the draft. Now we go into the offseason. And one of the things why I think that is so important is that this is also where championships are won. This is also where incredible teams in the corporate world are built. Draft, you're getting ready to go out and try to find pieces that fit into your culture. But what is your culture? When you're thinking about your business, you're looking for new talent. What is your culture? What do you stand for? What are your values? And how do these people actually fit onto your team in terms of the personality, in terms of the plays that you're trying to run, in terms of the things that you're trying to achieve in your business, finding the right talent and right pieces, not just looking at the resume. Oh, this is a first round pick. This is an easy pick. No, what do your undrafted players look like? What are the people that look like that don't go to Harvard or Stanford? And how do they fit onto your team in terms of what you're trying to achieve? The draft is getting ready to be important. And a lot of Kansas City's players on that team, and even to the 49ers, I will give them a lot of credit as well. Those are drafted players.
Yeah.
They add some free agents, but those are drafted players. And the ability to assess talent. Yes. Yes. Talk about development, how important that is. Yeah.
I mean, to develop the talent. Look, Patrick Mahomes didn't start as a rookie. My son's collecting cards now in baseball and football, and he's like, what does this mean that Patrick Mahomes only had 7 attempts his rookie year? Yeah, he didn't start as a rookie. Mm-hmm. The Kansas City Chiefs, even with his amazing ability, developed him behind Alex Smith. It's one thing to get talent in, but too often in business, people get talent in, and then, to your point, they don't give them the culture, the onboarding. It's like, where's the development? Where did you develop your talent? A lot of companies now, smart companies, are giving money to top employees for professional development every year. And they say, we don't care what you're going to do. Go to a conference in San Diego. Go to a conference somewhere. Like, develop as a leader. Develop in this culture on this team. And I want to bring up one point about the Chiefs, because you brought up culture, and I think it's so important to highlight the difference. Because Isaiah Pacheco, after the game, was asked about what it felt like. Now, remember, Isaiah Pacheco's only played 2 years. He only knows winning Super Bowls. What a thing for him. And he said, on this team, it's about family. Forget about me. I love you. Man, when you're playing a team with that culture, woo, it is going to take a lot. I wrote it down too, Benny. I was like, wow, forget about me. I love you. Do you have that kind of team? Are you working on that kind of team? Because you can earn your way to that kind of team, but that culture, that's why I'm saying this is the middle portion of the journey when it comes to the Chiefs. And it may not happen for a couple of years or 3 years, but they're not going away. Currently, a championship runs through the Chiefs. So you better be ready to beat them at least twice if you want to do it. Remember the year we won the Super Bowl? What did Gary Kubiak say before the year? We're going to have to beat New England. Probably twice. That's what he said in the beginning of the year. And sure enough, what do we have to do? Beat them twice. The road is real. And right now, that road goes through Kansas City.
Forget about me. I love you. I think when you think about a saying like that, and when you think about Isaiah Pacheco saying that also, that's not a player-to-player thing. That's a top-down thing. So people actually feel that throughout the building, from the ownership to the GM to the coaching staff. And that's how they coach, and that's how they interact. That's how they interact on the sideline. They can have that. The forget about me, I love you means that, hey, I can get in your face and I can tell you what I'm feeling and what needs to be done, and you won't take it personal.
Because you know I love you.
Yeah.
Right? Expectations are a form of belief.
But that's an everyday thing. And I think one thing when we think about leadership and we think about development, it isn't one conference. Like, leadership has to be practiced. These things have to be practiced. And we see, at the end of these games in sports, and we saw the way Mahomes operated on that drive. And we talk about Spagnuolo and the plays that he called to stop the San Francisco 49ers offense and the plays that Andy Reid and Matt Nagy called. With those things, and I know this from playing for Matt Nagy, who runs the same offense in Chicago, or ran it in Chicago, these things are practiced all the time. And leadership has to be practiced all the time. Mindset has to be practiced all the time. Like, we have to practice those things, just like we would practice a skill on the field. And I think,
or a bicep curl, you got to practice them.
Have to practice it, man. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways in terms of what I've learned just about leadership and looking at sports is that how do you practice leadership all the time and get the feedback?
Yeah. And take the feedback to use it. But that, that forget about me, I love you. That reminds me, as a Muslim, we're taught, want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. Right? So maybe I want to get hey, there's one steak left. You know what? Benny's here. Hey, Benny, family, bro, that's you. Right? Forget about me, I love you. I want that steak, so you take it. And I remember Ben Garland, one of our former teammates, right? Air Force guy. And when he was in the Air Force, he went and did a deployment in Jordan. And he said part of the training was learning about the Muslim culture. He said, because of that, hey, forget about me, I love you, want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. They trained the military personnel not to say things like, I really like that watch, nice shirt, because people will take off the watch and say, hey, take my watch. You like it? It's yours. I want for you what I want for myself. And that kind of atmosphere, we had that Super Bowl 50. I got to see some of the guys in Vegas, Malik and Omar and Brandon and stuff. So, I mean, we have that. And hugs were given, not just daps, just hugs and love shared and fatherhood and all these things. So it's an amazing thing when you build that community. It can be done.
It can be done in the corporate world. I've seen it. I've seen it in terms of incredible cultures, but they have incredible leadership. I've seen it in companies here in Denver. I've seen it in companies in New York. I've seen it in companies in Michigan, all the places that I've spoken at, and I know you've seen it as well, is that this doesn't just apply to sports. I've seen it done in the corporate world, and the profitability and the retention of staff is at an all-time high in those organizations. Mm-hmm. With that being said, everybody, this was another episode of the Gridiron and Growth podcast, breaking down Super Bowl 58 with your Super Bowl champions, myself, Benny Fowler, and my really good friend, the best author, speaker, Ryan Harris. Appreciate you guys for listening. Please like and subscribe and continue to share this with people. We appreciate all your support. Thanks.